Bronie here again for another day in Bronie's world. At Bronie's desk today we have my dear friend, the amazing Pharmacist Ben. I was going to call you Dr. Pharmacist Ben.
No, just pharmacist.
And now, a fortnight ago when he was on with us, he talked about the 8 chapters of nutrition. However, one of those chapters we didn't really touch on very well, because of time, and it is a very important chapter, and that's the one on minerals. So today, our beautiful friend from Colorado is going to speak on the minerals aspect of that today. So with no further ado, my dear Benjamin, I'm handing it over to you.
Thank you, Bronwyn. So first of all, I want to show this book real quick. This is a book I've been reading here. If you can see it, it says Dietary Fats, Lipids, Hormones, and Cancer and Tumors. The most powerful stimulus of cancer are distorted fats. This is what Dr. Wallach's always been saying. Distorted fats are very, very pro-inflammatory. Just going to say that. This is a whole textbook on the impact of distorted fats and what they're calling tumorigenesis, which means the development of tumors. Just as an aside, because I just want to bring that up because we were talking about bile a couple weeks back, or three weeks back. We were talking about bile. We were talking about how fat metabolism is really important. What really I hope I got across was distorted fats lead to inflammation, lead to aging, and ultimately even cancer by the fact that they're distorted and they're used by the cells in their distorted fashion. That's all I'm going to say about that, because I'm here to talk about minerals, which I find to be the most fascinating subject in all of nutrition, because it's so dependent on, let me digress real quick. Everybody always freaks out when they say, when I tell them I'm a chemist, because they don't freak out, but a lot of people say, oh, that, it's, oh my God, it's chemistry. We have this impression about chemistry that it's kind of, it's sort of heady and academic and dry and, hard and sciencey.
When you tell us.
What's that?
Not when you tell us. It's
not when you talk, because I love it.
Very entertaining.
Yeah, it's entertaining because I happen to love chemistry. And I want everybody to love chemistry like I do. But here's the thing. Chemistry is dependent on something that's even more fundamental and esoteric and heady and weird and nerdy and sciencey, and that's called physics. And the relationship between physics and chemistry is known as physics chemistry, or physical chemistry, they call it. And if you think physics is nerdy and you think chemistry is nerdy, physical chemistry is the nerdiest of the nerdiest. It's a combination. There are these famous bumper stickers in pharmacy school. We had to take a lot of P-Chem, they call it. And they say, these famous bumper stickers say, honk if you passed P-Chem. That's how, notoriously difficult physics plus chemistry was. But I happen to find it fascinating personally. And the fact that we don't understand this minerals, watch my little air quotes here, minerals, and you'll see what I mean here in a minute. The fact that we don't understand minerals is because to really understand minerals, you got to understand physics and chemistry, or P-Chem. It's the hardest thing to understand. So I'm going to endeavor to make it somewhat simple, okay? Or at least easy to understand, or hopefully even entertaining for some of you, because it is really kind of cool. So,
some of us, we all find you very entertaining and knowledgeable.
Okay, good. I like that. I'm here to, I want you to be interested. I was telling you.
We are like sponges.
Good. I love that. It's like when you have a baby, you want everybody to love your baby. Well, this is kind of like my baby. And I feel attached to it. So here's the deal. You take a rock, a mineral, right? We all know what a mineral is. It's a rock. Right? You can go get it out of your garden. You can dig it out. Some minerals are more valuable than others, and some minerals are more mundane than others. But basically, a mineral's a rock. You take a rock and I put it in water. What's going to happen? What's going to happen if I put a rock in water? Boom! It sinks. Nothing, because a rock's inert. The reason a rock is inert is because a rock is a bunch of. All comes down to this right here, folks. You see what this is? I don't know if you can see this.
Here
you know what this is? Yes, there's little boxes with there's little periodic
tables. We'll talk around it today.
There's little boxes. It all comes down to that. There's little boxes with little things inside: carbon and hydrogen and oxygen and magnesium and calcium and selenium and zinc. All the things we talk about in the world of nutrition are right here when we talk about minerals. See my air quotes, minerals. Because really what a mineral is not anything the body can use, because it's these all squished together. You ever been on a subway or a bus, or sometimes I have to take the shuttle from the airport to go to get a rental car, and I'm like this, I'm squoze in the bus. Anybody ever experienced this? Or on the subway to go to the airplane?
Yeah.
You can, right? Everybody's like this. Have you experienced this?
Yes.
You can't move. You can't go. You can't go anywhere. This is what a mineral is like. A mineral is all of these little things: silica, aluminum, and zinc, and all. It's just many of these, not all of these, but many of these off the periodic table, squished together. Doesn't do you any good. They can't move. Chemistry, and even more fundamentally, physics, the word physics means movement. It's all about movement, except not movement of people or macro, movement of tiniest particles you can imagine. And so everything's about movement. Life is movement at that level. Keep that in mind. Life is movement at that level. That's called the quantum level. I don't want to freak anybody out, but it's about the movement of pieces of electricity. They call them electrons. Boom, 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 boom. And this boom, boom, boom demands carriers. It has to be carriers. Hang on to that thought. So you have a mineral. It's all squished together. Is this making sense? You guys follow? You got to nod your head because I can't see anybody. Okay. So they're all squished together. In nature, there's these incredible creatures that can actually eat that rock and poop out, secrete out, however you want to look at it, the same building blocks, elements in that rock, except now they're spread out. That creature, it's called a lithotroph. Lithotroph means stone. Litho means stone. Troph means eater. Lithotrophs are creatures that eat rock, and they live on the rock in the center of planet Earth, or the interior of planet Earth, not exactly the center, but the interior of planet Earth. The interior of our planet is rock. On the rock, there are lithotrophs. Lithotrophs eat the rock and turn all that subway squished atom stuff that's all the rock that can't do anything into long individual strings, or long individual elements on strings, like pearls on a string. You picturing this?
Yeah. Yes, I can picture that.
This is where the magic happens. Right here is where the magic happens. Why? Because now each one of these little pieces can do something that vivifies them, that allows them to come alive. When they're rock and they're all squished, they can't do anything. When they're spread apart, they now have the ability to interact with the stuff of life, which is what? Water.
Yes.
This is where it all begins, is these long strings of carbon and oxygen and hydrogen that have been transformed from the rock by the lithotrophs, these creatures, bacteria and fungi that live on the surface, poop out, secrete out long strings. Now these long strings have a completely different characteristic than the rock, and they're not called minerals. They're called, because they interact with water, because they can interact with water because they're spread out. And when they interact with water, this is where magic happens. You have conduction of electrical charges. These formerly inert rocks that are like this, can't do anything on the subway, are now spread out, and they can now interact with water. And when they interact with water, they spontaneously generate an electrical charge. And we call them, are you ready for this?
Yep.
We call them electrolytes.
There you go.
These are the electrolytes. Electrolytes are the formerly squished up stuff from here, not all of it, but some of it, put out on long strings that can interact with water and generate an electrical charge. And they are said to be electrolytes, but they're more, because these are long strings. We have a word for long strings. We say poly.
Okay.
So they're not electrolytes, they're polyelectrolytes. Make sense? You follow me? Now I'm not done. I'm not done here. Okay. You see how this is developing, how this is working.
Yes.
Okay. So you have these, so now you have these long strings of polyelectrolytes interacting with water, generating electrical charges. And wherever you have electricity, you have magnetism. It's electromagnetism. So electrical substances, electrically charged substances also generate magnetic charges or have a magnetic property. They attract things. And these polyelectrolyte water complexes will magnetically attract things like amino acids and fatty acids and vitamins. And they form what are called clays. A clay is a material that is long strings of polyelectrolytes by virtue of their individual nature can interact with water. They form clays, and these clays pull in nutrients because they're electrical and they're magnetic. And that's why clay soil is so valuable. Clay is very rich in nutrition. And in fact, in biology, there's a theory going around among academics in biology who study these things. There's a theory or a hypothesis called the clay theory of evolution, which says, or the clay theory of life, which says that life began in clays because clays are attractive. They're magnetic. They pull things in. And so these clays form substrates, bases for all kinds of wonderful nutrients, number one, which gives rise to plants and life, which then the plants have an ability to use those nutrients to make life, to make plants, to make solar panels that will transform the sun into everything we know, all coming from these clays. And then these plants, they do magic on these minerals, they suck up these electrolytes, these polyelectrolytes and the vitamins and these complexes that are in the soil. They suck them up into their root system, and they do magic with them so that they can have life. And some of that magic involves working with these elements and taking these elements, which are these polyelectrolytes, and wrapping them around with proteins and various organic material so that they can function as in the plant system. When the plant dies, it dumps it off into the soil, and then all that stuff gets recycled again, and then it gets dumped off in the soil. And you get this whole recycling and concentration of not only nutrients, not only electrolytes, but all the things the plant made plus the electrolytes, which includes the DNA and the vitamins and the minerals and all of the nutrients which came into the clays. And millions of years ago, 100 million years ago, 200 million years ago, planet Earth was way more plant. It had more oxygen, and the plant life was way richer than it is today. And over the course of eons, millions and millions and millions and millions of years, all of these materials got dumped into the ground, and they formed pockets. And where you had tremendous amounts of foliage, you got tremendous amounts of pockets. And over the course of millions of years, you've got these pockets around the world that are made up of the most powerful nutrients known to man. I'll tell you what they are in a second. They're composed of organic material from the plant, life-giving material from the plant, phytonutrients and such, vitamins, minerals, vitamins, amino acids, fatty acids, and what we call minerals, which are not minerals. A mineral is a bunch of people in a subway. These are not minerals, but they call them minerals. Everybody calls them minerals. Even scientists call them minerals, but they're not minerals really, and that's the cause of a lot of confusion. They're elements that the plant has used and has been and elements that have been derived from rock by lithotrophs that dissolve in water, number one, and suspend in water. The ones that dissolve in water create an entirely different milieu for the water. The water is not water. It's a completely different kind of liquid, even though we call it water, because the elements in the water give the water incredible, incredible properties. Now, remember, I started this whole thing off by saying it was all electrical. This is all electrical. You have an ability to ingest electrically flexible molecules when you ingest these minerals and these nutrients, because they're highly electrical substances. Think of their pedigree. They started off as being able to interact with moisture to create electrical charges. They're structured such that they will dissolve in water, but they also suspend in water. And this is two different things. The ones that dissolve in water, you hear them called ionic minerals. You may have heard that term, ionic minerals. Have you heard that term? People ask about ionic minerals. Bronie, yes? Yeah,
yes, no. Well, actually, I have, but I haven't. I don't understand.
You may hear it. Periodically, people say, oh, no, you want ionic minerals because they're smaller, they're dissolved. But what Dr. Wallach has discovered, and really, he didn't really discover it, he kind of got it from the world of physics. What he discovered was, or what he noted was, that when these mineral elements that have been surrounded with organic material interact with water, they don't dissolve, they suspend. You get the distinction? Yes. Suspension is hanging. Dissolving is a whole different thing. When they hang, they create very interesting electrical charges in their interaction with water. In fact, these electrical charges were so important, considered so important at the turn of the 20th century, that Albert Einstein used to write papers on this, on the study of how things suspend in water, in liquids, and what kind of electrical charges they impart. These minerals, or these elements, are called colloidal minerals, as in plant-derived colloidal minerals. And the plant-derived colloidal minerals and the ionic minerals and all of the stuff that is scooped up out of clay in the plant-derived minerals is among nature's probably, it's like the mother's milk of inorganic material. I don't think if I want to say it that way. It's kind of like a certain, it's like mother's milk. It's that kind of nutritional value, that kind of fundamental value, because it's working at the most fundamental levels. It's working at the electricity level. It's how the electrons get carried around. So it's got amazing health properties. Amazing. And this is why you want to eat your vegetables. This is what eating your vegetables is all about. You know how people say eat your vegetables? Well, the most important nutritional component of vegetables are these compounds in the vegetable. But because of soil depletion, as well as processing, cooking, all the things they do, I don't know, the fertilizers and pesticides, those have a down-regulating effect on a lot of these substances.
Absolutely. You
want to support that. And that's what the plant-derived minerals do. They support it, but they also add these other things. I don't think they record, they're trace amounts of these other things. The plant-derived minerals supply your body with a completely different kind of mineral than we think of. It's a plant-derived. It changes the characteristic. And this is why you'll see aluminum and you'll see arsenic and you'll see things on there in the nutrition facts, and you'll say, oh my God, there's aluminum in there. I shouldn't be doing that. No, it's colloidal. That means it's surrounded with plant material that creates an entirely different molecule. That's why if you call them minerals, it becomes confusing. Because then people say, no, minerals are this, and then you try to tell them that the aluminum is a good mineral, and they're saying, no, it's not that it's a good mineral, it's that it's a different electronic nature. It has a different electronic signature that gives it different electronic properties, and those electronic properties allow it to interact with water, and that's the key. Remember I said that's the key. When it interacts with water, that changes everything. The reason aluminum has a bad reputation and heavy metals have such a bad reputation because they're heavy. They're dense. They don't dissolve in water. They don't form these electrical bonds between water molecules and electricity and the element itself. So these create these polyelectrolytes, and that's how they're created. And I find that incredibly fascinating. So I just wanted to share that. So now you know the difference between ionic, between colloidal, why colloidal is a different type of mineral that it renders it safe and renders it non-toxic. They're important electrically. They attract things, and this is one of the benefits of minerals is they're detoxifying for the body because of their their ability to pull things out. They have an attractive property. They're magnetic. They pull things in. So they're wonderful for detox. In fact, you know, we don't even talk about the minerals for detox, but that's one of the most important things the minerals do is they detox the blood. Healthy minerals will replace toxic minerals.
Well, that's interesting.
So they're wonderfully detoxing. They're also a very interesting, the nature of these polyelectrolytes makes them powerful antioxidants, among the most powerful antioxidants that we can interact with. And at the same time, they can deliver oxygen. They can do both in one molecule. They can act like an antioxidant and they can deliver oxygen too. You follow what I'm saying? They're opposites, right? But they can do that. They can do that. That's what happens when you get down to the nitty gritty, the way these polyelectrolytes get down to. It's all about electronics, and they're very electronically active. So they're also very important for the immune system. They're very stimulating for the immune system. This is above and beyond the nutritional value that you're getting. When most people think about colloidal minerals, or when they think of plant-derived colloidal minerals, they think of the benefits of the mineral, like what iodine does, what magnesium does, what calcium does. I'm telling you what the whole complex does. The colloidal mineral complex is an antioxidant. It's an oxidant delivery agent. It's a hydrating agent. It pulls water in. It's great for your skin. Hydrates your skin.
I find that I've got a little spray bottle with the plant-derived minerals on it. I find when I spray it on my face,
it's a great moisturizer. Dry,
it's a
wonderful moisturizer. And not only that, but you're getting all these oxygenation benefits and antioxidant benefits and sun protective benefits and anti-inflammatory benefits and healing benefits. They're phenomenal for the skin. And I use them in my, you guys know I formulate skincare products. I use them in a lot of my formulations. But I don't use the nutritional ones that you're talking about. They're a little sticky. They got the sugar because they got the flavor agents. So if I use them in skincare, I find them incredibly valuable.
Only the plant-derived.
Yeah, they're a little sticky, but if you can handle the stickiness, they're very moisturizing, and they're very healing. If you cut yourself or you want to heal any kind of wound or burn or anything like that, they're wonderfully healing. They've got sun protective properties. They're detoxifying, and this is above and beyond the individual components. So you're getting the benefits of iodine too, and you're getting the benefits of potassium and calcium and whatever other nutrients you're getting in there. They're independently valuable. You're also getting the value of the matrix, if you will, the electromagnetic matrix, whether it's a colloidal matrix or whether it's an ionic matrix. You're still getting these benefits independent of the individual minerals. You see why I don't like calling them minerals, but everybody calls them minerals. I can't say elements, but that's what they are. Is they're elements. They're not minerals, right? Mineral is a subway. Bunch of people in a subway. Okay, so I hope I don't know. That's my story about the minerals. I don't know if you want to do you want me to say anything about anything specific? Do you have questions about any specific new minerals?
Well, I do.
Minerals are the foundation of everything. I will say this: vitamins are made by plants, right? That's who we don't make vitamins. Plants make vitamins, but they make vitamins from minerals, elements, that is, from what they're sucking in from the soil. So all the other nutrients, protein, fats, carbs, the macronutrients, and vitamins, fatty acids, and amino acids, the micronutrients, are derived from the minerals. That's why I say the minerals are the foundation for everything, because everything else is derived from those minerals. The minerals are the foundation. In the Bible, it says, where were we born? Where did man come from in the Bible?
The earth.
The earth. Exactly. That's exactly right. They were exactly right. We came from the earth. We are the earth. We are the earth made life. In fact, we're even more than the earth. We're the stars. Every element in your body was in a supernova in somewhere in the galaxy billions of years ago.
That's interesting subject.
Isn't that interesting? That's what all this is. All of this was in a supernova. You notice? You ever hear of a supernova?
Yes.
Supernova is the brightest thing that there ever could be in the universe, and all the minerals came from the supernova. All the elements came from a supernova.
Wow, that was fascinating. The normal, getting back to you talking about sticky plant-derived minerals, the plain plant-derived minerals,
Not
I don't
sticky?
find sticky at all.
Yeah, they probably don't put flavoring in there.
No, but the ones with flavoring, like the herbal rainforest.
If you have the ones that aren't sticky, even the sticky one is just sugar. It's not a big deal, like a sweetener or something. But for wounds, like if you burn yourself or something, really nice it helps accelerate the healing of wounds. Who knew? These are things that nutrition does for you. This is why I love nutrition so much, is because once you understand it, you can start to really hack into a lot of biochemistry. We're not doing this right, people. You know what I'm saying? We're not taking care of this thing correctly. And, I mean, we consider it, we've normalized behaviors, mostly eating behaviors that should never be normalized. In a healthy culture, eat too much, and we distort the food. We don't respect the food. We distort it. We completely we're eating a food supply that's completely distorted relative to what we ate 100 years ago or 150 years ago. It's completely different, distorted. It's distortions. Food. It's like how they have. I don't know if you ever seen American cheese. You ever hear of American cheese?
Yeah.
You know what American cheese is? You know what that is?
It's all stringy, isn't it?
No. We have a product we call American cheese.
Okay.
But it's not really cheese. It's a cheese food product. And that's what food has become. It's become food product. It's like, meat food product.
So not real cheese at all.
It's not, has nothing to do with cheese. It's cheese food product.
Don't eat that.
All right. So do we have questions out there? And
we do. Now, the first couple of questions are from Rusty, who isn't able to unmute. She's on here. And she asks about Oh, I can't get my tongue around it. Pancreatic.
Pancreatic.
Yes, that's it. I can say. My brain's just not working today. The pain, inflammation, and what to do.
That's a terrible thing. Does she have pancreatitis?
Yeah, she has a thyroid issue. She flares up again, and
oh no.
And her thyroid. She thinks it's due to the stress of losing her father very suddenly.
How old is she?
In her early 60s, I think.
And what kind of is she on? Is she there, or is she just reading?
She is, but she just can't unmute.
Ask her if she's on what medication they've given her.
Oh, I do know they've given her a really strong one, but I don't know the name of it. I don't know if she can put it in the chat. But she has been coming on really well with the protocol I gave her with our ocean gold and everything. But she also knows that she's been eating naughty.
Well, I don't want to, it's not that she's eating naughty. We have to stop saying that. She's not a bad girl.
No, she submitted it herself. She hasn't been as strict with her diet as she.
I know, but here's how you want to look at that. It's not good or bad. It's neutral, but there's a consequence.
Yes.
It's not a good or bad thing. It's totally neutral. You don't want to judge it as good or bad, but just know there's a consequence. The pancreas, animals that are fed Western food, American food, probably Australian food, have enlarged pancreases.
Okay, she put it in the chat.
She's there. She said that.
Yeah, she put it in the chat.
Oh, okay.
I can't even pronounce it.
Yeah, that's an Australian term. I don't know if that is. I'll have to look that up. So here's the thing. It's strictly food. It's not like you're a good person or bad person. That's not, you don't want to look at it that way.
No, she's a beautiful person. But
yes, it's not like
grief does
Yeah,
terrible
you
things
don't
to
want to
you.
judge. You don't want to say I'm naughty. I've been naughty because that implies you're a bad person, and I don't like thinking about it that way. It's more like, look, you know, there's consequences, so you got to live. Do you want the consequences? It's simple as that. It is a strictly an eating issue. Now, at this point, you know, I don't know how far along you are, but you don't want to play around with the pancreas. Pancreas is Mr. Cellophane. That's, you don't know, nobody notices the pancreas, but the pancreas will kick your butt if there's a problem. And pancreatic cancer is notorious as the king of cancers. Why? Because the pancreas is an enzyme factory. It's constantly making enzymes. So anything damages the pancreas will cause major problems in the body. So you got to be really, really careful with the pancreas. Do you know about baking soda? Did they tell you about baking soda?
Oh, well, we have baking soda, but you can tell
Yeah,
us about it.
does she know about using baking soda?
I
Ask
have
the
no
person.
idea, but you can
That's
tell
what,
us.
yeah, using baking soda sometimes helps folks who are having pancreatic problems a few hours after meals, especially if she has problems after, like sometimes people with pancreatic issues will have like they'll notice discomfort a couple hours after meals. Ask her if that's the case. I'd have to ask her a bunch of questions, Bronie.
Okay. Well, we can maybe do that
You want to do that, but
privately.
the pancreas is is really about food. And, you know, that's one of the reasons why I say the less you eat, the longer you live. Because the less you eat, the less work your pancreas has to do. And the longer and stronger, or the healthier your pancreas is, the longer your life will be. And vice versa. So the pancreas is a major player in longevity on both sides and health.
Mm.
And so food, and we pay the price, you know, and that's why I say it's not good or bad, but we do pay the price. And that's tragic to me because the body's capable of so much more than we give it, you know, credit for, and or honor for, or value. And when the body gets angry or sad, maybe it ain't nice,
No.
right? It's
So,
not
so
nice.
is there something you can help her with?
I don't know what she's got. I don't know what she has. I have to ask her a bunch of questions.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
yes,
I don't realize it's hard to do it through you. I'd have to ask her a ton of questions, but
okay.
it's something serious. So I'm happy
Is
to
it
help her.
hard? She had hard, sharp pains, being
No, that's
fasting.
nothing to mess around with. I'd want a lot. I'd want to ask her a lot of questions. That's nothing to
Okay.
mess around.
I
That's
well, not today because of my situation, but
okay. So
we
have a
might do
call
a
me.
3-on-1 with her,
Yeah, yeah. Let's do a three-way.
three-way call with her. Okay. Next question she has is she's had a friend with epilepsy since childhood and has gotten worse over the years and has
Okay.
been put back on meds but doesn't like taking them.
Okay. I don't blame her.
Can you
They're
give us an idea,
notoriously toxic,
please?
those kinds of meds. Here's the thing. Guess what I'm going to say? Surprise, surprise. What's Ben going to say? You know, I'm sure somebody out there is probably rolling their eyes. I hope you're not, but it's food related. It's food related. Now, there are other things that might be involved, in fairness, but it starts off in the intestine. It starts off with foods. If it's what I would do is I would chart when the seizures happen. It may also involve female hormones. Sometimes female hormones are involved, but there's a interplay between the intestine and female hormones there too. So it all really boils down to the intestine. Surprise, surprise. The way blood vessels open and close is very dependent on inflammatory factors. Blood vessel opening and closing is controlled by inflammatory factors. So when your blood vessels open in response to inflammatory factors, sometimes they reflexively close. Boom, boom. These can all trigger all kinds of electrical changes in the brain that can cause seizure disorders. So, first of all, the ketogenic diet. You know about that?
Yeah.
The ketogenic diet for
Yes, sort
seizures?
of.
The ketogenic diet was developed as an anti-seizure diet, and it's still used as an anti-seizure diet for kids who don't want to take medicines or who can't take medicines. Some kids can't take medicines. So the ketogenic diet is very important because it's a low sugar diet, and sugar and processed foods will cause seizures. Deficiencies in omega fats, especially omega-3 fats, and omega-3 fats have anti-seizure properties. The amino acid taurine, which is in or fit shake, has anti-seizure properties, anti-seizure effects. GABA, which is in our, I think it's in our sleepies. By the way, have you tried those melatonin gummies?
We don't have those down under.
Oh, you don't have them down under. Oh my God. Those will kick your
We don't
butt.
have the sleepies either.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That's terrible.
I know.
Terrible.
We need to build our base here so that it's worth the numbers to get it down here. And it's usually a government issue.
It's usually a government issue. Melatonin's a hormone.
That's usually our biggest issue.
That's so unfair.
I know, it's not
unfair
right
that you're deprived of like stuff that you could really benefit from health. GABA, staying away from problem foods, working on digestive health. If there's digestive health issues, again, I probably have to talk to the person, ask if there's digestive health issues. How old's the person?
I do not know. She's been suffering since she was a child, but she's an adult.
He can be helped. Listen, the body is not, you're not condemned to these symptoms. These are symptoms of biochemical disturbances. You've got to just stabilize those disturbances. This is an electrical phenomena. Seizures are an electrical phenomena. Whenever you have electrical phenomena, you got issues with fats and sugars.
Okay, she's in her 50s.
Okay, in her 50s. Is she there? Is she responding?
No, she's
okay. So fats and sugars. Ketogenic diet is a low carb diet. It's a high fat diet. Omega-3 fats, taurine. Taurine is very important for electrical conductivity. Very important for your heart too, by the way. And omega-3 fatty acids. B complex, the whole B complex is very important for brain health and neural health. That's the beyond tangy tangerine. Synaptive, maybe. She might want to try the synaptive. Think brain, think electricity, but really, you know, digestion is really where it all begins. So if there is a history of digestive problems, which there probably are, those really, you want to correct it at that level first and foremost while you're doing these other, not first and foremost, but while you're doing these other things.
That sounds like a very good plan to me. And so moving right along, just because we're time deprived, we're going to go to Karen's room. So I need her to unmute, and I'll add her to the spotlight because they have some questions there I can ask on her behalf. But if Karen unmutes, they can ask. Where's she disappeared to, guys? Okay, so Karen, can you ask your questions, please? Okay. Got to get these girls here. It's Marie, I believe. Just get down a little bit so we can see you. But we can't hear you.
Marie.
We can't hear you, Karen.
Oh yeah, I can't hear anybody.
No, we can't hear them. We can see you, but we can't hear you. Okay. No, we still can't hear you. All right. Well, I'll do my best to try and ask while they're trying to figure out why it's not working. Marie, that you can see on the thing next to Karen, it's has a new someone with a neurological function disorder. No filters, balance and vision's off.
Oh, that, yeah. How old is this person?
I don't know.
That's important.
The filters are not working. I do not know. Maria said,
okay, well, I would assume that's
Tom.
An older person.
Okay, wait. She said to ask Tom, and Tom is on. So Tom, can you unmute? Oh, look at that.
Run those symptoms by me, Bronwyn. Run those by me again one more time.
Hang on. It's Tom that's asking this. Tom, can you speak?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh yes,
Hi,
we
Tom.
can. Okay,
Hi, Tom.
This question is for you. So, can you ask the question?
Hi, Ben. Yes, my question is, my daughter, she's 35 years old, and a year ago, on a trip to Cambodia, she contracted inner ear infection, and that's progressed into vestibular neurosis, and the neurological consultants, they can't handle it, and they've sent her on they're given up and they said that
Okay,
they
let
can't
me
do
tell you.
anything.
Let me tell you why. They're right. They can't do anything, because they've got like a hammer and nail. They've got a pick and a shovel, and this needs like a. You can't really you don't have access to that area really with their tools. However, what you can do is you can make sure that the environment is inflammation free from where you do have locus of control. So she has whatever you can do. So it becomes very incumbent on her to do everything right. Like other people have a window, maybe. She don't have a window. Does that make sense? Other people have a little range. They can have a little leeway. They can play around. She can't. So I don't know. I can't tell you for sure this is going to work because I don't know enough about the infection, but I can tell you that's where you have to work. You can't really do anything. If there's inflammation in there following an infection, it could be scar tissue. I don't know. I can't tell you what's going on in there, so I don't know. But all of these are possible. And the fact that they gave up on it, I can see why. Because from their perspective, there's not, what are you going to do? You can't go in there and like repair it. So, I can see why. However, and I don't know what her status is. I'm just going by what you're telling me and by, my picture of what's happening, but she can control other places. So wherever she has locus of control, she really has to play with it on that level. Now, if she wants to tell me a little bit more about what the prognosis or like what they said was happening inside the tissue is there scar tissue or is it just too inflamed to do anything about? Or I don't know I really don't know what's going on specifically, so I can't really address that. If you could tell me a little bit more details, I might be able to help you more. But for now, I would tell you, if she has digestive issues, those need to be corrected. We all have to do that, but she doesn't have that much window because she's already inflammatory, is what I'm guessing. Yeah. There's already still action in there. And so you got to calm everything down. You can use Mighty 90 is so important for her. Is she on any supplements?
I don't believe so.
Get her on supplements. Get her on supplements. Get her on the Healthy Start Pack. This is your daughter. Get her on, buy it for her. Buy it for her. Anything you can do to skew her away from inflammation. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So anything you could do to skew her away from that, that's your strategy. She has to be on point because she's already, and I don't know exactly what's happening, so I can't give you specifics about that, but I can tell you she has locus of control in other places and she needs to focus on that because that's a very difficult thing to be treating.
What's happened is she's got complete disassociation with her surroundings. So she's all at sea. She gets vertigo. She gets claustrophobia. She gets all these inner ear vestibular problems.
You can now see how critical that little tiny, maybe 2 centimeter patch of biology is for everything you do. Everything you do. That little tiny area there. And if there's inflammation there, yes, that definitely can be a problem. And I can't think of a way to specifically target inflammation there, but I can tell you that she may notice she flares up even. She may notice that it gets worse when she does certain things. And that's really where you're going to have to start to have some locus of control here. If she flares up, and chances are she does. So there's certain things she could do. Also, you know what else is important is oxygenation is important. So she finds she probably, when she stands up, and she probably has some problems when she stands up just out of a seated position. Yeah. So having her oxygenate carefully. There's something called buteyko breathing. You might want to look into that before she does any quick movements and see if that helps her. It may be an oxygenation issue. It could be that she's hypoxic, and that could have there could be a lot of causes for that, and that alone may make a significant difference. So you got to play around with it, and I would look for flare-ups too, and then I would get her on the Healthy Start Pack. She absolutely has to be supplementing, and here's the good news, is chances are she's so deficient because she's depending on getting from food, I imagine. She's trying to get her nutrition from food, which isn't going to happen. That once she puts nutrition in her body with the Healthy Start Pack, she is going to notice a significant difference. she will respond quickly. And I'm not saying she's going to be cured of her vertigo. I don't know if that's the case, but she's going to feel better. Her body will
Right.
suck up those nutrients like a dry sponge sucks up water.
Okay. That's good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, get her
Would
on,
you
get
add
her,
the
get her
plant
on the Healthy
derived
Start Pack.
minerals to that as well?
Yeah, the Healthy Start Pack. Beyond
Yes,
Tangy.
but add the plant derived a bottle of the plant derived minerals as well.
You can add that too. Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You can add that. Fucoid Z. There's a lot you can add. There's a lot you can add. But the point is whatever you put in her system, she'll be like one of those flowers that you forgot to water when you went out on vacation and came back, and you're like, oh my God, and you put water in there, and all of a sudden you can almost hear them saying, thank you, thank you. And an hour later, 2 hours later, they're like that. That's going to be your daughter. That's going to be your daughter. Isn't that great? You guys,
Yeah.
It's not just him. It's anybody who's in deficiency states, which is everybody pretty much, but some more than others. If you're in a deficiency state of any kind, you put these nutrients in your system, you'll be like a plant because your body will suck them up like a dry sponge sucks up water. You come back on the call in a month after you do it, you tell me that's not the case.
I'll do that. Yeah.
All right.
It's certainly a start anyway.
That's
You'll have to have her come on the call next time, Tom.
Yeah, have her come. I'd love to talk to her, or she can call me too.
Yeah, I will. Thank you very much.
Awesome, Tom. Thank you.
That was a great question. Thank you, Tom.
That is a great question. Yeah. Isn't that funny about the inner ear, how important that is?
It is. It's
tiny little area like this big. With a few little, with a bunch of hairs.
Don't mess with your ears.
Don't mess with your ears. That's right.
Okay, so also, I don't know if Maria had any other questions for Marie, or whether now Karen, can we hear you yet? I think Liz, is Liz there? Liz wants to know what are the phases of the liver.
Oh, yeah, we're going to talk about that. There's two different ways the body detoxes. There's two different steps in the detoxification process. And I don't want to rush through this because it's kind of interesting and we're going to run out of time, but I'll just give you the ballpark, the bird's eye view. So there's two phases to detoxification at the level of the liver. First of all, think about what's happening in the liver. I mean, the phenomenal amount of biochemical processes and reactions and chemistry that has to happen for the liver to do what it does, it's mind-boggling. This is happening at the cell level, and a liver cell called a hepatocyte is capable of producing hundreds of different things somehow. With some like this, and it can produce various enzymes and proteins, amino acids, just incredible amount of biochemical substances come out of a liver cell. And the liver is responsible for a tremendous amount of activity. And the liver is singularly almost, I don't want to say singularly because a lot of organs are affected by our poor health, but the liver is one of the major organs that's affected by our poor health. And in this country, and I'm sure in your country too, 1 out of 3 people have fatty liver. It's just part of the course. And when you have a fatty liver, what it means is the liver's not processing fat correctly. It's the cells are pooped. They're just not doing their job, and the fat's starting to just pile up. It's like on backlog. It's not getting into the cells right. The cells aren't processing, and that's called a fatty liver. And eventually, parts of the liver die, and then you end up with fibrosis. And this is a horrible, horrible way to age and to die. And it's completely unnecessary. It's completely unnecessary. It's like all the things, all the horrible things we do to ourselves. The major cause of the liver issues is something called metabolic syndrome. Have you heard about? Have we talked about that? We've talked about metabolic. Yes. There's a book. We talked about Dr. Wallach's new book, Metabolic Syndrome, probably.
We have. And you've shown us and all.
Okay, and I even showed it to you. Okay, good. They used to call it Syndrome X. I remember when I first started hearing about it. I mean, we knew that diabetes and blood sugar problems were behind a lot of things. We learned that in pharmacy school. Even skin problems we learned as being blood sugar related and diabetes related. So I kind of knew about this, and then I started reading about it, and it was called Syndrome X. And I remember I just started talking about it, and I called it Syndrome X back then, and I did a talk for Longevity like in the year 2000. And I talk about Syndrome X and this new thing that's out, and a new way that you can be a new syndrome. A syndrome is a bunch of symptoms that's associated with one cause, right? That's all syndrome is. A bunch of things, one cause. So this was this thing called Syndrome X. It was new. It's unknown. Subsequently, it's changed to metabolic syndrome because it's a bunch of things that are caused by messed up metabolism. Basically, metabolism is everything. It's all the chemistry in your body. Your chemistry is messed up. And the major cause of this disturbance in chemistry in the body is sugar, the major disruptor. And the ability to handle sugar is actually, the body has a really good ability to handle sugar because sugar is so fundamental. Sugar is so important, but it's not, the body's not prepared for that, the amount of sugar we're giving it. Not even close. And so what's happening is our entire blood sugar system is being thrown off, and that's changing all of the markers or all of the elements in the of biochemistry that are important for health, especially around the blood. In fact, it is really a blood issue. It's a blood issue. You can think of it as a blood issue. It's blood toxicity. What happens is the blood starts to become sticky and gooky. We call it glycation. Diabetics will actually have to have their blood checked for this glycation reaction. That's what a hemoglobin A1C test is. Have you ever heard of that test? The hemoglobin A1C, that's the test all diabetics have to. I don't know, you probably don't. You might call it something different over there. Do you call it the hemoglobin A1C test? Have you heard that term?
Not being a diabetic, I have no idea.
Yeah. Okay. So diabetics.
Just another do a test.
Okay. Okay. I got you. There's probably some other term you have for it. But in any case, you have to have your blood checked for glycation. This glycation of the blood is behind all kinds of health challenges. It clogs up the works, basically. It gooks up the works. And that's where metabolic syndrome comes from. And the major player in not just metabolic syndrome or major victim of metabolic syndrome, but also a major player in the blood sugar system, in blood sugar control, is the liver. So many of us are compromised at the level of the liver, which means we're going to be compromised at the level of phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification. And I don't have time to tell you exactly all about phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification, but I'll tell you the most important point. Phase 1 detoxification is the first step. Phase 2 detoxification is the second step. Here's where it gets sticky. Sometimes phase 1 makes poisons more poisonous temporarily. And if those poisons don't go through phase 2, they build up. And that's a problem. And understanding how to support both phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification is critical. And there's lots of things that you can do to do it. Many of the nutrients we take in the Mighty 9 essential nutrients include vitamin C and zinc and vitamin A are important for supporting phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification. And this is where the minerals really excel, is in phase 1 and phase 2 detoxification. We can talk about some of the specifics here the next time we get together. But for now, understand that loving your liver is critical for a lot of reasons. And one of the most important reasons is to support the movement of toxins from phase 1 through phase 2 through elimination. If they don't go through phase 1 to phase 2, if they build up between phase 1 and phase 2, that's where you get into a lot of problems, including, by the way, especially with estrogen. And this is one of the reasons why estrogen is so problematic and so hard to understand, because estrogen is a very important hormone. But if you're not converting from phase 1 to phase 2, toxic estrogen can build up. And this toxic estrogen is behind a lot of the problems associated with things like estrogen dominance, where people have estrogenic symptoms, mostly reproductive, and breast and like uterine and ovarian and that kind of thing. Problems with the menstrual cycle, endometriosis, fibromyalgia. Those are all classic signs of poor conversion of estrogen from phase 1 to phase 2, which is why working for anybody who's dealing with endometriosis or fibromyalgia or any kind of estrogen health issues, working at that level becomes really, really important. And there's lots of ways to do that. We can talk about that on our next
Sounds like a good plan. We do have one more question where we can do that real quick. Is
Yes.
Someone in Karen's group is having heart palpitations, has had them for a while, but seem to now be increasing.
Okay, that's very important information.
What causes them?
Heart palpitations are when the heart's not getting oxygenated. It's not the blood supply is not, the blood is not being oxygenated, or it could also be the blood is not being delivered somewhere in the heart. It could be that there's high blood pressure and the blood's not making it to the heart. It could be a lack of oxygen. So first and foremost, you got to start breathing correctly, and that's critical for the heart. That's for anybody who has a heart issue. Fibrillations, ventricular tachycardia, AFib, all those, oxygenation, breathing. Learn how to breathe. Get on, do something called Buteyko breathing. I know I talked about it before. B-U-T-Y-K-O. B-U-T-E-Y-K-O. Buteyko. I think that's how you spell it. Breathing. Whatever it is, gotta oxygenate. Make sure you're breathing correctly. And there's a very important relationship between carbon dioxide and oxygen. And that's why I like the Buteyko breathing so much, because they really understand that how important carbon dioxide is, the exhale. So anyway, that's job number one. If you're doing anything if you have any issues with sugar or toxicity at the level of the intestine, leaky gut, there's a molecule called histamine, which we talked about before, as in antihistamines, that can cause that, and that comes in through a leaky gut. So if you have digestive problems, again, these are things, I'm glad, we have a couple minutes here because I want to wind it down with it like this. You guys, it's not about taking care of the specific problem. It's about taking care of the body, the environment that the body's in. And that's why I don't want to sound like I'm a one-trick pony, but at the same time, I want to be honest. It all starts off with the intestine. Why? Because that's how things get into the body. It's just logically, that's how things get into the body. And then the second step is sugar, because the most damaging thing in food, the most dangerous thing in food is the sugar. So between the sugar and the digestive system, you have everything, really, everything. Now, for the gentleman or with a daughter with the inner ear, can you target the inner ear? I don't know how you can target the inner ear, but you certainly can work on inflammatory factors that are coming in from other places, the digestion and the blood sugar system. For heart palpitations, same thing. You want to make sure that the body is able to deliver oxygen to the area. And that means through breathing, but that also means making sure that you don't have any dirt getting into the blood through a leaky gut. You got to make sure that there's no secretions which amp up can spark up problems with the heart because they amp up the system. So you got to calm the body down to the level of a leaky gut. I-26, I would ask this person, is there any digestive health issues going on? You always want to look for digestive health issues because if that's an easy place to work. That's an easy fix. Working on the digestive system it might not be easy. It's a simple fix. Maybe it's not easy for some people, but it's a simple fix if you want it. It's not hard to really work on digestive health because that's the core of everything. And then the blood sugar system. And that's what I would say. And then oxygenation. Of course, that involves nutritional supplementation. And nutritional supplementation is the basics to everything. Yeah, there's all kinds of other ancillary products we have. Fucoid Z for blood thinning, for improving blood delivery. Awesome. Restart Your Life for wrinkles, for the immune system. Awesome. Sweeties, ultimate enzymes, glucogel caps, there's a lot of them, but the Healthy Start Pack is the core of everything. And the more deficient you are, the faster you can turn it around. The more deficient you are, the faster your body sucks up those nutrients. Just like a dry sponge sucks up more water than a wet sponge.
Very good. Well, thank you very much for that, Ben.
All right, so we'll talk about phase 1, phase 2 next week or 2 weeks. Write that down.
The liver stages, yes, I will write that down.
Okay.
Well, that's it for the hour, and Bronie has to go. So as I say here nicely in Bronie's world, I ask you all nicely to stay safe, stay informed, be empowered, but do not live in fear, my friends. And when you're putting those plant-derived minerals in and understanding how they work, then you too will be powerful, beautiful, brilliant, and most definitely very brave. God bless you all. Catch you again tomorrow here in Bronie's world. And thank you, Ben, and thank you, everyone, for joining us today.
Thank you, Ben. That was fantastic. Thanks, mate.
Thank you.